Hi, my name is Rachel, and this... I almost just said, hi, my name is Rachel, and this is Disney Channel. Leave it in. If you hear what sounds like gunshots in the background, it's probably the fireworks, because I decided to start this video at 9 p.m. on the 4th of July. Don't ask me why. It kind of feels like my own personal cheering squad. So in this video, I'm going to be reading the oldest book on my TBR, which is The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. Just kidding. I read 20 pages of that book and it fucking sucked, so I DNF'd it. In this video, I will be reading the second oldest book on my TBR, The Queens of Innisleer by Tessa Gratton. This is empty. My book's upstairs. Okay, but in all seriousness, I did start reading The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima, and there was some concerning aspects to the characters. For me personally, it felt like she was... Tell him. It really felt like the characters were supposed to read as Indigenous, and she is a white lady, so I wasn't really comfortable reading that. And then there were another group of characters that kind of interacted with those Indigenous coded characters that we were following. And one of the other characters did kind of say something that it was made up. It was not real, but it definitely read like it was supposed to be a slur towards an Indigenous coded character. And bless you. Bless you. Are you done now? And honestly, I just got the ick, so I DNF'd it. And the writing was also kind of mediocre. I read about 22 pages and it just really wasn't gripping me at all. So that on top of the ick, I just DNF'd it. I then decided to pick up The Queens of Innisleer because this is it's either the second oldest or third oldest. There were two that I couldn't really remember when I got them, but they were both options for this, so I chose this one because it's a standalone. And as you guys would see before this, I'm already reading 83 series. If you haven't seen my series tracker video, check it out. I talk about the series tracker I made and all of the series that I'm currently in the middle of. But yeah, so I wanted to pick this one up because it's a standalone. So I'm only 4 minutes so I'm only 4% into this one, and so far I've read like this little prologue kind of chapter, and then a chapter from one character's POV, and then another chapter from a second character's POV. And where I left off reading earlier, we actually are getting another chapter from a third character's POV. I don't know if there will be more than 3. Don't know why I didn't think this was not fantasy. I thought it was just historical fiction. But yeah, the writing took me by surprise. Very like purple prose and flowery, and that did continue into the 2 chapters I read that were from the character POVs, and it did also kind of continue in the dialogue as well, which is making it a little bit slower for me to read because I'm having to parse through the purple prose and slow my reading down so I can understand what's happening. I hope as I read more that I will sort of pick up the cadence of the author's tone and get through it a little quicker, but that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it. I'm only 4% in, so you know, I have very bare minimum opinion on it right now. But yeah, so I will update you guys after I have finished more of the book. Hi, it's been maybe 2 days since I filmed anything else for this vlog. I wanted to give a update because I am 25% into The Queens of Innisleer now, and I have some thoughts. Mostly, so far what I'm feeling is just kind of meh. I'm not loving it and I'm not hating it. I think the writing is beautiful. I will give it that. The writing is very well put together. I think it flows good from one scene to another. I think the characters are fine. I just kind of don't care about them at all. Like, yeah, like they're fine. I don't really hate them, but I'm just also not like rooting for them. I just kind of don't really care what happens to them. I am listening to the audiobook, which is narrated by Kate Redding, who reads a lot of Brandon Sanderson's audiobooks, and I love her, so she's definitely helping me get through this. If I was reading it physically, I have a strong feeling that I would probably DNF it just because I'm not feeling strongly towards it at all, and I would not want to slog through it with my eyeballs. However, since I'm listening to the audiobook, I think I'm going to try to push through because I can just play my little matchy match puzzle game on my phone and listen to that. I do believe the point where I'm at now, I just ended part 1. I do think the point where I'm at now in part 2, the plot should pick up a little bit based on what just happened. So that gives me a little bit of hope that maybe I will start to enjoy it more as well, because things are about to kind of amp up and shit's hitting the fan a little bit. So like the plot is fine. It's a standalone and I can kind of see like where the plot's going, and I feel like it might be a little bit predictable, but maybe I'll turn out to be wrong and maybe it will get better and I'll love it. But yeah, I'm not really feeling strongly one way or another. I'm just very neutral, and I usually DNF books when I'm like extremely neutral or if I'm absolutely hating it. I am making a snack, so sorry if you can hear that. I'll update again probably in like 2 days when I hopefully can get to 50% of the book. Fingers crossed, 2 or 3 days. I'm reading a bunch of other things at the same time right now. I'm enjoying some of those a little bit more. So I'm having to split my time between the audiobook that I'm like just okay with and other books that I am enjoying a little bit more reading with my eyes. But yeah, either way, I'm actually really glad that I got to this when I did, because I think if I had read it a few years ago, the flowery writing would have went right over my head. But now that I'm a little bit more of an experienced fantasy writer, I'm not a writer, that was a Freudian slip, and I have more experience reading, you know, purple prose and working my brain around metaphors and whatnot, I think I am understanding it more than I would have a few years ago. So it's probably a good thing that it's been on my shelf for so long. I'm like kind of hopeful that it will get better and that I'll like it more in the end. So I'll catch up with you in a couple days. Okay, I am now halfway through Queens of Venice Lear. I also just realized I never told you guys what it was about, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what it's about. There's not really a plot. It's very political, but it doesn't feel like linear. It doesn't have a trajectory that I can kind of like see us going on. But anyways, as far as I can tell, there are 3 sisters. They have a dad who is kind of losing his fucking shit. He's the king of Aramoria, I believe. I don't know. The kingdom names are all so similar. I'm getting them confused. But yeah, he is the queen. He is the king of this kingdom, and he's kind of going crazy. He's losing his mind. He's going mad. And his daughters, 2 of them, think that their dad killed their mom, and the third one is kind of like daddy's girl, like goody 2-shoes, like suck up, and she's like, no, he would never do that, blah blah blah. So 2 of the sisters are trying to orchestrate like them being put on the throne as like queens without kings, I think, although they did marry men to kind of like get a foot in the door for their, you know, claim to the throne. And then I think that they're gonna kind of rule as sisters, like, and their husbands are just in the background. And then the other girl is just kind of like doing her own thing. She's like, I don't want to rule, like I don't want to be in charge, whatever. So that's about all I know right now. I'm literally 50% of the way into the book, and don't get me wrong, the writing is pretty and I think it's written well. I just think it's really boring. Oh, I'm struggling. But yeah, so where I'm at right now, I'm 50% through and I don't really like know what's going on. There's like kind of a love triangle brewing, but I don't even know if it's really like a love triangle because it's 2 men who like the same woman, but like the woman only likes one of the men, and like I don't really know if she's into the other guy. And the sisters are like very much archetypes, where it's like this sister is strong and independent and she doesn't need a man, and then it's like this other sister is like the middle child who looks up to the older sister and does whatever the older sister says, and then the youngest one is like the daddy's girl, the baby, the one who is a goody 2-shoes and can do no wrong and is a sweet innocent angel cake. And it's just like, I don't know, it just feels really like pre-planned. And I get it, like obviously the author had to plan and write the book, and I do understand that it's kind of a loose retelling of like King Lear, but yeah, the sisters all just kind of feel like a type of character that we are supposed to think certain things about, and I can't, like, it's kind of like the author doesn't want you to really form your own opinion on them. She just wants you to see them as they are written, and then that's that. Like, there's no nuance, there's no leeway. So I'm just struggling a little bit, but I wanted to give an update because I'm halfway through. So I'll probably give another update when I'm about 75% of the way through. I'll let you know any non-spoilery thoughts, and then I will update again when I finish the book and let you know my final thoughts.
Yes, I did it.
What kind of video are you making for your YouTube? What would your YouTube channel be about? It would be about us? Oh, you're so sweet. That's really nice, honey. I was about to update you here with my phone on the window, but it's raining, so you probably can hear it too loud. Let me move. Okay, well, I'm just gonna make my coffee while I chat to you. So, I am about 75% of the way into the book, Queens of Venice Lear, and my thoughts have really not changed at all since I last updated, which was probably 3 days ago now. The writing is good, like it's technically written well, but I'm just finding the plot really kind of boring. But like, I'm not hating it, you know, I'm not like vehemently against it, but at the same time, I'm not like obsessed with it either. I'm just very neutral. And if it wasn't for the audiobook, I absolutely would have DNF'd it like probably 20% in. But I'm gonna continue because I can just listen to it when I do chores or have things to do with my hands. I'm just gonna finish it since I have the audiobook because I can throw it on when I have chores to do or whatever. I have a lot of laundry to fold later. I can listen to it some more then. And I've just been like popping it in when I cook dinner or breakfast, whatever. But the next time you see an update from me will probably be like a wrap up, review, and outro in like another 3 days. Or however long it takes me to listen to the last 30%. Bye. All right, y'all. We made it to the end. So for this video, I read the oldest book on my TBR. Now, initially, that was supposed to be The Demon King by Cinda Williams-Chima, but it was smelling a lot like white lady who's writing about indigenous folks suffering racism and oppression, and she has no right to portray those experiences. So I DNF'd it, and then I picked up the second oldest book on my TBR, as you guys know, which is The Queens of Venice Lear. This started out so promising, but yeah, the opening prologue just had so much promise. It really gave me this sense of like whimsy. There was a lot of imagery surrounding stars. There was a lot of imagery surrounding prophecies and nature and the land being magic itself. But unfortunately, about 2 or 3 chapters after the prologue, I started to kind of see the direction of the plot. I kind of started to see the nature of the writing style. It just got really boring really quickly. I was really hopeful in the beginning that it was going to pick up near like the midway point or the end, but it was very much so like prologue. The next few chapters had like a little bit going on, and then it like bumped up a tiny bit, and then it just kind of like stayed at a very consistent level of action and drama, I guess I would say. So in The Queens of Venice Lear, we're following 3 sisters, and basically their father is starting to go mad, and he's been accused of killing their mother a long time ago when she died. People are starting to realize like he might have had something to do with it, and so the sisters are trying to essentially overthrow their father and find ways to become powerful and like rule this land without having to marry men or without having their husbands take that title from them. It's basically like she said, how dare you betray me? Oh my god, he betrayed me again. But it wasn't like interesting, which is really sad because I feel like I do love a good political atmosphere. I love books that can be political in nature, and I love character driven books. However, I just literally could not have cared a single ounce about any of these characters. There were 4 main characters. We had the 3 sisters, Elia, Gaia, and Regan. And then there was another main character, Moramarios, who I would have to say Moramarios was like the best character, even though I still didn't really care too much about him at all. And then there was another character called Ban Aragal, who was kind of like a main character, but he was kind of like redheaded stepchild main character where he didn't get enough attention, I think. He didn't really have a lot of page time, and you could tell that he was just kind of like there because the author needed another way to interweave these things. I don't know what I'm trying to say. So I think overall I'm gonna give this like a 2 stars, maybe like a 2.25 stars, because I think technically it was well written. I could see how the writing itself was well done. There were some moments of very beautiful prose. The prose itself was like fine, it was readable, but unfortunately the plot and the characters did not do the prose any justice. I thought the characters were annoying and boring. I thought the plot was boring. I also think this book is way too fucking big for what the plot is in here, because there is no plot. This book is nearly 600 pages long, and it honestly could have been like 400. There were 200 too many pages in here. And given the fact that I DNF'd The Demon King before I picked up The Queens of Venice Lear, I think it's safe to say if you have extremely old books on your TBR that you've had for like over 6 or 7 years, there's probably a reason you didn't pick them up. It was your gut. It was your intuition telling you like you're not gonna love these books. And that's just that. Now, is that to say every old book on your TBR is gonna disappoint you? No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, the third oldest book on my TBR that I would have read if I had DNF'd The Queens of Venice Lear after picking it up was Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, which is actually on my TBR for this month anyway. And I have high hopes for this one. I think I'm gonna like it more than these other two that I picked up. So apparently July is the month of reading old books on my TBR. I read the oldest, which was The Demon King, and it was a DNF. I read the second oldest, which was The Queens of Venice Lear, and I only gave it a 2.5, 2.25 stars. And even then, I only gave it so many stars because I think it deserves a little bit of extra love for how well written it was, but my enjoyment level was a 1 star. Let me know what the oldest book on your TBR is down in the comments, and if you think you're gonna love it or if you think it might be past its prime and you're not going to enjoy it anymore. If you've made it this far in the video, leave a mushroom emoji down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye!